Alright, back here on segment 2 of Kelly and Associates Insurance Group TerpTalk, and I have a funny story to relate to you, Wayne, and it might upset you a little bit, but the DC Minute, okay, our new segment on this show, I'd like to pay tribute to the Washington Redskins, and I'm not just saying that funny. I'm not trying to be a jokester when I say that. I'll tell you why. I do believe that the Redskins beating the Ravens will be looked back upon as the key moment that started the Ravens' run to a Super Bowl.
Oh, you got to tell me why. Go ahead.
Here's the reason why. Because of the fact we know that owner Steve Bisciotti wanted this game in the worst way. Obviously, he wants a Super Bowl more than this, but you know it's probably second place, and certainly Danny Snyder wants it too. Did we lose to the Redskins? And Bisciotti is besides himself over our game calling, our play calling in the second half after we had torched D'Angelo Hall in the first half. He's infuriated. Now, I don't know what he had to do with the firing of Cam Cameron, but certainly he didn't tell John Harbaugh not to. All right?
Well, so I thought there were rumors that he actually told him to.
Well, either way or the other, if the Redskins don't win that game, everything's different, because then the Ravens are 10-3. They clinch the playoffs. It would have been all over. They lose the game. They fire Cameron, and then the team turns around when Jim Caldwell's appointed the new offensive coordinator. So, as a Baltimore Ravens fans, all I can say is hail to the Redskins, because it was their victory over the Ravens, and they outplayed them. They beat them. There's no question about it, even though the Ravens took out RG3, but the Redskins won the game. It was a brilliant comeback by the second-string quarterback, the punt return, and I think that it precipitated a chain of events that has landed the Baltimore Ravens in the Super Bowl. Now, you think I'm crazy, or does that make sense?
Are those two separate questions? I think you're very enthusiastic, and it does make sense, and that was a huge topic that Caldwell got fired. But the thing
Cameron got fired.
Sorry, Cameron got fired, and Caldwell got signed to an extension, so he'll be back as the offensive coordinator. The thing it did for the Redskins, since it's the start of when RG3's injuries end up with a blown-out knee in the Seattle game, is now you can't do anything with Kirk Cousins as far as the Redskins go, because you don't know if you're going to have your starting quarterback. In a normal offseason, if RG3's in one piece, trading Kirk Cousins for the now somewhat disaffected New York Darrelle Revis to shore up the Redskins defensive backfield, or trading Kirk Cousins to get back in the first round of the NFL draft is sort of off the table.
Darrelle Revis, or better known as Revis Island, I wouldn't have him. He signs a contract, then he wants more money. You give him more money, he wants to renegotiate. It never ends with him. And plus, now he's damaged. I mean, he's been out the whole year. You don't know what's going to happen to him. I mean,
no, you don't.
The Jets aren't stupid. There's a reason why they're shopping him.
Well, yeah, they don't want him. He makes a lot of money. He's coming off an knee injury. The point isn't whether or not you want Darrelle Revis. The point is between the lowered salary cap, so the Redskins got in trouble with the NFL, and they have less of a free agent money to spend, and the fact that they can't trade Kirk Cousins. Not trading Kirk Cousins goes back to that same Ravens game that sort of changed the Ravens' trajectory, and it does have an effect on the future of the Redskins.
All right, let's move on, and let's talk a little bit more about the Super Bowl, but we're going to talk about the Maryland influence, and wow, is there an influence for the Baltimore Ravens. I know y'all been listening to me all year raving about Torrey Smith, how he's really changed the offense of the Ravens. You know, when he certainly torched Champ Bailey, the ex-Redskin, of course, torched Champ Bailey, arguably the best cover corner in the game, for 2 touchdowns. It should have been 3. And then, of course, Vernon Davis, who's really turned out to be just a leader, a man, everything unbelievable what has happened in the transformation of his career since his incident with Mike Singletary. But he is something else, and if the Ravens lose, I assure you Vernon Davis would be a big reason of it. And if the Ravens win, Torrey Smith's going to have a hand in it, even if he doesn't catch a ball, because he's going to occupy 2 members of the secondary.
Well, he does. I think we'll go back to start with Torrey Smith. Torrey Smith is the guy that I'm going to say made Danny O'Brien a star with Maryland. Danny O'Brien was a freshman.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. You know, he had 11 touchdown catches for the Terps, 4 of them against NC State where he really made his mark. Without him, Danny O'Brien was a journeyman quarterback that year instead of the ACC Freshman of the Year.
And then he goes to the Ravens. And how long has he been a Raven, Bruce?
A couple years. And he has been so effective that
he stretches the field. He's going to take the cornerback and the safety for that side. San Francisco has a very good safety. His last name is Goldson. He got burned once in the beginning of the game by the ex-Alabama receiver who
Julio Jones.
And you're going to see the same kind of performance. If Julio Jones can get 100 yards against the 49ers defense, I'd expect to see the Ravens try and use Torrey Smith in the same way.
Well, you can't double-team Torrey, and you can't double-team Anquan.
It leaves Anquan open, and it leaves Pitta over.
In the same regards, the Ravens can't double-team Vernon Davis, and you can't double-team Crabtree at the same time.
Well, let's switch over to the maturation of Davis. When Davis played for Maryland, won number 18. People are going to call him Duke Davis. I haven't heard that since he went to San Francisco. He was a guy you couldn't bring down.
Could not bring down. Absolutely incredible that he would drag 3-4 guys down the field. And the funny thing about one of the Maryland teams with Vernon Davis and with Sean Merriman is they went 5-6. Now, how did that happen, Wayne?
Boy, you got me on that one. That was a tough year.
5-6, did they? I think they lost to Virginia the last game, and it was unbelievable. Vernon Davis was just...
So he goes out to San Francisco. He was drafted 7th, the highest ever for a tight end, if I have my numbers right. Maybe he was 6th. And he gets into a big fight on the field with Mike Singletary, who I believe throws him out of the game and told him to go in the locker room. You remember that incident?
Yes, tossed him out. And Vernon, to his credit, took it like a man. You know, and then Singletary sat down with him, and everything changed. And you know how emotional Vernon is. I saw a piece on him on one of the ESPN shows that was just dynamic about how he's into art, that it took him so long to find that as his release. And now you hear him talk. He talks like one of the most intelligent veterans that you would hear. He said that a lot of his friends came up to him and says, you know, Kaepernick is throwing you one pass a game. Right. And he says to them, don't you understand, it's not about how many balls I catch. It's about the San Francisco 49ers winning.
I believe he played 6 games with Kaepernick. He had 7 catches, but they won the game. In fact, he had one of the great moments in the NFL last year when the 49ers hosted the Saints, and he's the guy who caught the touchdown pass that at that time it was Alex Smith was the quarterback. Throws a touchdown pass as time runs out, and it's Vernon Davis who makes the catch. It was just...
Vernon Davis has been, if the Ravens lose, it'll be because probably Vernon Davis has a great game. I guess we'll see what happens. Moving along, last Saturday night, nothing to do, and I was looking forward to this match anyway, at Comcast, Navy versus the Terrapins in wrestling. And I did tell you to go, Wayne.
You told me to go, and I wanted to watch hockey.
What a stupid move you made.
And the Caps lost in Tampa.
This was one match after another, and Maryland got a real bad break because the week stretch in the matches, Navy drew first, and Navy took a 13-0 lead. And Maryland stormed back with Josh Asper and Jimmy Sheptock, and it all came down to the final match, and Maryland was on top after Jeffrey Alexander had pinned his opponent. And it was amazing. I saw the kid from Navy after he got pinned. He ran out of the room crying. And the coach was saying to him, you know, it's no disgrace to lose to the 16th ranked guy in the country. And this guy, Joe Locksmith, sort of put some kind of hammerlock on his leg, on Frank Goodwin's leg. And Frank had trouble continuing. He did. Got pinned. Maryland lost 22-18. What a night of wrestling. And Wayne, it was a packed house.
Well, I got to get out there. I've been out there once before. Bruce, you were right. I picked the wrong sport. Maryland now 9-5. Opens ACC Friday last night against Virginia Tech. And, you know,
they're home again on Saturday, aren't they, or am I wrong? You got a schedule? I think they're home on Saturday or Sunday.
I think they're home. It's Friday night, and then they get North Carolina at Comcast Pavilion on Saturday, January 26th.
Yeah. That's right, Saturday night.
Saturday
so tonight, they wrestle North Carolina.
Right.
And go out there. If you got nothing to do tonight, and the Maryland game will be over against Duke.
Well, if Maryland beats Duke, I'm going to the wrestling match.
Well, I tell you what, if Maryland beats Duke or Maryland doesn't beat Duke, if I get back in time, I might go. Because it is constant action. And the best part about it is the price of admission. You know how much it is?
Free?
Zero. Now, you can't beat that. And, you know, all kinds of kids wrestle, but what a job Kerry McCoy does. He just has transformed the program into a winning program, and hats off to him.
So you mentioned every week Maryland has a wrestling award called the Hudson Taylor Award, and you mentioned Jeffrey Alexander, and he won the award after the Navy match. That's the 5th time that he won that.
Now, do you know about Hudson Taylor? Does that name ring a bell to you?
No, not right off.
You are really out of it, young man. Hudson Taylor wrestled for Maryland for 4 years. He went all the way up to number 2 in the country at one point. But this was a brilliant theatrical student. Can you imagine this? He studied the theater, and to speak to him, Charlie can tell you we had him on a lot. One of the best interviews I've had. Just a wonderful kid, and certainly led the University of Maryland to several ACC championships. Great kid, and Hudson Taylor, I wonder what he's doing now. We'll have to find out. And of course, we didn't talk at all about last Saturday's game against Carolina.
We played
I guess
Carolina.
we didn't want to.
We don't want to.
I don't know that we wanted to, but it certainly was not.
Well, let's pick the good points. We were getting blown out.
42-20 at half.
Des Wells starts playing like we think he can play, and Maryland gets the game in reach, down to 11 points. And I'm thinking, oh boy, we're going to have one of those miracle comebacks. It'll be our signature win. This is going to be great. I've seen Maryland do this before under Gary. It'll be the first time under Turgeon. And we missed a 3. We had a chance to get it to 8, and suddenly, whoosh, Carolina pulls away.
Yeah, and that was that. What can I say?
We stayed in it. We didn't lose by 40. We got back in the game. What was the final score?
Lost 62-52, another game in the 50s, and that's got to change on the road especially. All right, before we head to break, welcome another new sponsor, and that's Gourmet again. It's my pleasure to welcome the Supreme Neighborhood Market Gourmet again to the TerpTalk family. Now under the new ownership of Andy Huffman, Gourmet again on 3717 Oak Court Road in Baltimore continues its tradition of being a specialty food market with all meals, soups, and sandwiches being made homemade. My family and all of Northwest Baltimore know that Gourmet again is the best delicatessen around. Let Gourmet again cater any party or special occasion you're having, and they're doing Super Bowl parties big time. I absolutely love Gourmet again. Call them at 410-484-9393. They're open 7 days a week. Look them up on the web at www.gourmetagain.com. This is Bruce Posner. You're listening to Kelly and Associates Insurance Group TerpTalk.